Hey there, how y'all doing? So, have you reflected on 2025 just yet? Come with me as I reflect on everything that happened in 2025 and what I am not taking in 2026. Stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Eat, Don't Compete, and I am your girl, Jasmine DeWeese. I am happy to be back here with you guys. I took a brief break just to breathe and be in a moment. I had a lot of things going on. But before we get into that, stop what you're doing, press subscribe. If you're looking at this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on Apple or iHeart or any other platform, make sure you subscribe. Because as we roll into the new year, I want you to know and be aware of some of the things that we have going on, and you're not late to the game. So I have a few things to explain to you guys that happened, some pivots we made, and some different things that's going on. But I don't want you to not subscribe. Make sure you share this with someone. Like, look, this is going on. I think we should all reflect. I think you should get with your people and reflect on how 2025 went for you and how you want to change things or keep the things that's working in 2026. So, guys, listen, I had so much going on. I'm actually going to write it down because I don't want to forget anything. Okay, so just to have a brief recap, 2025 has been good. I will not sit here and pretend it's not good. Guys, I have a really nasty iced coffee that I made. It's just kind of watery. It's the new Nespresso pods, but I like this cute cup. Yeah, I like this. And it's just, the flavor is weird. I think it's the candied tamarind. I think that's what it's called. It's just not connecting for me. And then my grapes are ashy. So I'm pretty basic today, but my grapes are ashy. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Give me some. Anyway, so what's been happening with me in 2025? I've had some great wins in 2025. I've had some wins in 2025. I took some L's in 2025, had some great lessons in 2025. And I want to share those with you because I think that we've all been in that space of trying to understand how we move forward. But I think that is often exceptionally important to understand how to move forward by simply being present in your moments, evaluating what happened, assessing how those situations happened well or didn't happen well, and so on and so forth. So for me, one of my biggest wins, particularly with Eat, Don't Compete, was coming in front of you, being in your face, being able to share some pieces of my own life and its vulnerability with you, and doing that on screen. I think that we connect a little bit deeply. So even if you're listening to this on Apple Music, I encourage you to go and find it on YouTube and kind of connect. I think that we connect a little bit better when we see the person. Oh, that's cool what they got going on, and so. But I was hesitant. Truth be told, I was exceptionally hesitant. And I can't pinpoint my why. I just didn't want to be on camera. I think a lot. If I'm being real, I think my why had a lot to do with the imperfections that you can pinpoint. You, my viewing audience, can pinpoint if I'm in fact in front of you, right? I used to shoot a episode of the podcast in my pajamas if I so please. Like if I felt like doing it in a scarf, I could do that if that's what I wanted to do. But now it brings me to the point of some sort of accountability. So I think that now it raises the bar a bit that I didn't personally want to raise. So I coming on camera as of today, let's see. From April, I've had this particular, I'm going to go into my data so that I'm not lying to you. But I want to say in April was my very first episode of Eat Don't Compete as we came back. They got a Christian jazz cafe music, instrumentals. Okay, I'm going to have to put that in the queue. I likes that. Yeah, so I had to put that in queue. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I'm going to find exactly. I have a total. I want to give you real data. I joined I joined March 8th, but my first video didn't go up to April. March 8th, I joined YouTube. And as daunting as that was, I started with a video that is considerably 8 months ago at this point, because I believe my first video came out sometime in April. And as of right now, almost 84,000 people have viewed my content. Now, is that to say that I have a bunch of subscribers? No, I think it's 209 subscribers, right? And I did want to do some type of internal celebration because I don't want to diminish the amount of subscribers I have. But I also want to lean into the idea that almost 84,000 people decided to tune into my content at some point or another. Like, and that's worth, worth the applause especially for someone who was hesitant to get on this platform in the first place, right? Who was hesitant to plunge out into the deep in the first place. So I'm grateful that you would take the time to tune in and listen to me speak week after week, to hear my testimony and grab hold to it for something that's going on in your life. I'm incredibly grateful that we built this community and that you're still here with me right now. I'm grateful for that, and I'm always going to be grateful for that. And we endeavor to do more in 2026, not more in the sense of, we want to put out this amount, No. More in the sense of making sure that the quality of our content continues to grow, making sure that we dive a little deeper in terms of the relationship with our growing audience, and so on and so forth. So I'm excited for what's to come in 2026. I think that there were some extreme lessons, but there's excitement in knowing that. So that was one of the main things that, this is a platform that's Eat Don't Compete, but it's kind of this long-winded story of my life and my journey in faith. And I'm glad that you're here with me. So something that we worked on for 2025, nearing the end, that kept getting pushed back. And I'm going to tell you why it got pushed back, because there's a good reason, right? And I think that the perfectionist in me is like, I don't care if it's a good reason. It's just, it happened. It was imperfect in its execution. So, this is, all the things. But one of the things that I endeavor to do is to start the study room. So if you've been viewing, you're like, where is this thing that you talked about? And the study room is essentially a Bible study that's unique in how we come together as a community and study the Word of God and endeavor to, continue to grow together as a community in how we studied and how we approach the Word of God. The unique aspect, I would say, though, was the idea of doing it on YouTube Live. And I know that the enemy is very, very tactical in how he approached this, because, I should have done a lot more background research and background testings. But at the same time, whereas it worked in terms of trying to go on YouTube Live did not want to work for me. And as time begins to dwindle, so the first thing is we wanted to do the study room. And this is a complete transparent moment for me. I am not fond of this, but I wanted to go in the study room. I wanted to have Bible study essentially on YouTube Live, right? And it will be available on YouTube Live for a limited amount of time, because let's be real, when we study anything, those first few days that we've studied it, or that it's coming to our brain, there's something that happens that within those first few days, it's fresh. So there's certain things that are constant in our memory bank, right? And those first 3 days were going to be this critical component of getting you to understand the urgency. It was a demonstration of urgency of how we read the Bible and how we took the Bible seriously in its urgentness. And so that was plan A, right? Plan A is we got the study room. We're going to get it off the ground. We get a group of people together. We study the Bible together, particularly on YouTube Live. Not certain as to why YouTube Live I was so fixated on it, but hey, on camera, crazy. Why I was so fixated on YouTube Live, but I was. And if you know me, if I get fixated on something, it's very hard for me not to go through with it. So plan A was to do a live Bible study, right? Plan B was, first I wanted to do it last quarter. Then I had to push it. And like I said, I'm going to get back to why the pushing even occurred in the first place. I had to do it last quarter. We come into the last quarter. Week 1 is passing and week 2 is passing. I'm like, come on. So I did not want to start Bible study in 2026. Not that I can't, and not that I'm not. I am. But the reason is, think about this. I call it the gym membership theory, right? This theory that you're going to go and you're going to join the gym as your New Year's resolution, right? You join the gym in January. You good in those barely good, but good enough in those winter months. And then comes spring, you start to dwindle down just a little bit. And by mid-second quarter, you're not even as much as going to the gym and allowing these people to take the money out of your account. The urgency and the novelty has dwindled down a bit, and it's fizzled out to absolutely nothing by the time this summertime has come, right? I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want the gym effect to occur. I wanted, Bible study to be deemed urgent no matter what time of year it was. So that was my reasoning for pushing for 2025. And so that was plan A. Plan B, the quarter started dwindling down. I kept resurfacing. All right, I'm going to do it in these dates. All right, I'm going to do it in these days. All right. So you've seen some of my real time, what one might deem as failures. So I have a 10-day devotional. And I want to pause right now so you can know what I'm talking about. I have a 10-day devotional based solely upon my first series on the podcast, which is the blueprint of becoming, God's process, the process of God making. Okay, I'm getting this all messed up. The blueprint of becoming, God's process of spiritual architecture. Yes. So the blueprint of becoming. We developed a 10-day devotional. And this 10-day devotional is a compact ebook that is completely free. And I put it out there, and a lot of people, we got some downloads and people came into the community. But one of the things I wanted to do was walk you through it. And so when I had all of these perplexing things regarding the details and the background infrastructure for my Bible study, I said, you know what? You put this blueprint out there. Let's just go ahead and do the blueprint together as a community. And in doing it, instead of making the full-on Bible study sessions, it can be an introduction to what the study room would be about in the first place. How do we do that? I was going to do 30-minute flash sessions. And this is something that I'm still going to do because it's an evergreen piece of content that you can do the 10-day devotional in January, February, March. Like, you can do it. So one of the things was, let's get on there for 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and get on there for 30 minutes. Let's walk through day 1 for 10 days straight. And I was like, it would be cool. Theoretically, this would be really cool. I'm having some allergy issues. I don't know if you hear it, but this would be cool. Let's do this. All right, cool. I'm gonna set it up and then invite some people and we get on. Did just that. So I don't even know if the word is embarrassing, but it was like daunting. It was frustrating to be on live, to finally get on, right? Because it took a while to even get on. For some reason, I don't know what was happening with YouTube. In YouTube's defense, it wasn't my particular bag either. I've been on YouTube on live on any platform once in my life. So I guess, that's my bad. But in the sense of, I felt like it was harder than it should have been. That makes sense. So nonetheless, I get on YouTube, get on live. It takes me it takes me 20 minutes to even get on. Finally get on, but we're talking about 30-minute flash sessions. Whoever was coming for a 30-minute flash session is gone. Gone. So now I get on finally, and there's no sound. Not even an ounce of sound. I'm like, yo, this is killing me, dog. Like, now you can see my face. So, like, there had to be, like, fire dragons burning out of me. But needless to say, that happened. And so, because that happened, I needed to pivot. Because for me, if you know me, you know that my word means so much to me that I can't just, I read the Bible, y'all be all right. Like, that's goofy. Like, I can't be out here being no goofy. Sorry. So I pivot and I go to Old Faithful, the Bible plan, the YouVersion Bible app, and I do an Avid Luke challenge because I was gonna read Luke anyway. The Avid Luke challenge, not Luke challenge in the Bible app, but it's the Avid Luke Bible plan. But if you've known in a Christian space on social media, this Luke challenge has been happening for years, where Luke has 24 chapters, so you read a chapter a day leading up to Christmas, leading up to Jesus's birthday. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna send this to a couple of people, whoever, get on. It's kind of, I think what it did was take the pressure off and take the content creation off of it all, if that makes sense. So I did that, and it has been going well, and I think that was where we were supposed to go in the first place. There was something just blocking my ability to hear that that's what's supposed to have been going on. So that's where I'm at. I've never read through Luke. I've never read through Luke fully. So it's been refreshing to kind of see. And I think that the challenge here is for me not to study it and just, kind of read through it, kind of converse amongst ourselves, because within the Bible plan, you're able to have conversations about each chapter. It comes with a devotional at the end of the devotional. There's reflection, questions, a prayer. And it's great. It's great teaching. Luke is a fantastic teacher. I really encourage you to read through Luke. He's thorough, but he doesn't waste the detail. Like, I think that sometimes my attention span toward certain books is that they're painting this vivid picture. And as an artist, I appreciate that. But at the same time, sometimes I get lost. Like, we were talking about the scenery and you went so deep into that tree, I forgot what we were talking about. Right? And maybe that's just me. But nonetheless, I had to pivot. And it was a lesson that I needed to learn. And why did I need to pivot? And why did I need to push it to last quarter in the first place? So I I think that we don't place enough emphasis on the local church, especially when we're in these spaces of YouTube. This obsolete place roaming throughout the world. So it's like, what do you do on a regular Tuesday? Well, at 7 p.m., I get on prayer. So like, I say that to say that I am a part of a local church, and my pastor thought it best that I be elevated to a minister. And really? I've known this since, we've talked about it loosely since last year, 2024. And then I've known the date since April. And it wasn't, I think that from April to the exact date of the elevation service was November 30th. I think that seems very far away. Like, if you really like, let me start getting this message together though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's far away, like, but I ain't gonna play. I'm gonna start getting this message together. But at the same time, it's like, let me see how this is gonna go. But it seems far away. So I think that it seems far away. But as I came closer to it, and I, in speaking with my community and kind of understanding the validity, not validity, the weightiness of it, I needed to move things around so that it's not a crowded time, so that I can attempt to remain consecrated for the assignment at hand. And so September rolled around, birthdays, school. October rolls around. I want to say we went to, in October, we went to my husband went somewhere on a trip. Then we went to Tennessee for a wedding. And then I want to say at the end, we went to a funeral in Richmond. So it was a lot of moving parts. And I think that to assure that I did my part so that the Lord, the Lord will do his part, but that the Lord does his part in me doing mine, and fasting and praying and and all the things, right? That I know that I needed to not crowd the space so that I can hear from the Lord. And so that was why I needed to pivot so much. And I think that was probably one of the main themes of 2025, pivot, right? So I do have these 5. Is it 5? Maybe it's 6. These 6 things that stood out to me as huge takeaways, if you will, for 2025. Takeaways, life lessons, my personal reflections. But for me in 2025, one of the things that stood out for me, as we just discussed, is go for it. Go for it. Now, let me be clear in saying that that may not have been the theme for you, and I respect that. But at the same time, for me, there was something there in my life that deemed go for it, Jasmine. Like, go for it. 2025 screamed go for it. I think that because I'm a recovering perfectionist, I wait for the perfect moment at the perfect time, then the time that works best for it, all the moving parts. Like, go for it. And I think that go for it also has something to do with obedience. I'm not that obedient at the front end. I'm not, right? So sometimes we don't realize how much delay is actually disobedience. And I think that in my life, I've delayed quite a few things, if I'm being honest. So I didn't want to kind of like have my delay being this disobedient act. Yeah, like fall forward, fell forward. So sometimes fear is an act, right? Not how do I say this the right way? We can genuinely be afraid, but just like we can genuinely be afraid, But at the same time, sometimes we place fear there because it allows for this delay and us to not do what we know we were told to do. And I don't want to be in that place. I think I've been in that place. It's like a false humility, which is actually pride. So it's like, no. So for me, I think that I didn't want to keep hesitating. The things that I've been hesitant about, well, not even the same things, but things I've been hesitant about in the past and that I've held up. Because what I've realized about going forward is that someone you don't even know is watching you right now, paying attention to the fact that sis wore red lipstick. Like wow, I can wear red lipstick. Sis decided to say yes to the Lord. So even if I was hesitant yesterday, I got a little bit more confidence in me right now. So bro showed up in church and threw his hands up and said, hallelujah. That means something to me. So be careful of those immediate no's, because that disobedience is holding someone up. There's someone behind you watching your every move. So don't delay what God is asking for your obedience in right now. Because if we're being real, you can never know what God has for you with these many delays and these many stops and these, you know what I mean? So go for it. Go for it. I think that I've went forward in things like Eat, Don't Compete and coming on camera, and I've seen just a glimpse of what God has been saying to me. Like, listen, lean forward and I will do the rest. Lean in and I will do the rest. So I definitely wanted to go for it, because faith without works is dead, right? And I want to play my part and position my heart for where the Lord wants to take me, and stop pretending that I can't, out of fear, out of control, out of all the things that try to make me God. Because that's what that is. You try to position yourself as God and then get mad when God don't do. Nah. So go for it was my top one. There's a couple of scriptures I'll put down in the description that can help to kind of hone in on the point that I'm trying to make in terms of go for it. But another one is pressing into the things of God. I think that my content for Eat, Don't Compete has shifted drastically this season from last. We took a hiatus when I had my son, and in coming back, there is no way that I am the same woman. I am not the same woman. So the things in which I have to say aren't the same. The way in which I move is not the same. Most of the places I go is not the same. So why would I be discussing and moving in a direction as if they are? It's not the same thing. So I couldn't be afraid to press into the things of God, because that's the place I remember asking my girlfriend, I was like, look, so Eat, Don't Compete's been back on for a few, and we've been doing a couple of episodes. What are your thoughts on it? I know it's completely and utterly different than, the content we've done in the past. What do you think? It was like, what I think is irrelevant, because it's different because you're different. So I want to pause right here and encourage you to grow in Christ. And don't try to move toward what was familiar for you before, right? Reaching toward the dysfunctional familiarity of the past, when reach toward the obscurity of the future. If you trust in God, you would realize that the obscurity of your future far supersedes anything you had before. So pressing into the things of God, I've seen how 2025 has been an eye opener for me. It really has. It is growth And I grow all the time. I'm constantly attempting to move towards some sort of personal growth, some sort of internal change of some sorts, right? But this year, there was nothing casual about it. And to be honest with you, there's nothing really ever casual about it. But I think that the component that was different was that there was an intentionality toward my spiritual acceleration rather than just my emotional or personal acceleration, right? Because I've been in therapy, I've graduated from therapy, I've read the books, I have the self-help, components, but this year it was primarily about my spiritual health, primarily. And I make no mistakes about that. I no apologies is going to be given. But I pressed in with a decision to pray more, to study the Bible more, to fall in love with the Word of God, to be still more. I'm not going to say I'm fantastic at any of these things, but I made that decision. I got real intentional about it. So I think that pressing into the things of God and pressing into God, He will reveal Himself to you. And I say that because in Deuteronomy, it says that when you seek the Lord, He can be found. I think that it's so easy to make the excuse that praying is hard and that reading the Bible is hard and that all of this is challenging, right? But when our jobs are challenging, we show up the next day because I think the main reason is there is a immediate reward, right? We're a microwave society looking for quick fixes on how to do and what to do and where to do and what. No, here's the thing. There's a reward, but if I tell you, hey, come to the house, I need to speak to you. You don't know what the end result gonna be, right? I might make a meal at the end. If you know me, I'm probably going to feed you. That's what it is. But if I say come to the house because I'm going to feed you, there's two different things happening there. But I have to question your why. At what point are you coming to the house for us, for the intimacy of the relationship, to build upon it and grow it? So I think that pressing into the things of God intentionally, being deliberate about it, taking in account and making sure that it's something like taking accountability for falling short, for not pressing before. Right? So I think that I had this conversation with a friend the other day and I said, if we're being honest, I think that a lot of what we do is geared around the idea that we truly do not love the Lord. Like in the biblical understanding of what loving the Lord looks like, we do not, with all due respect, right? I'm not trying to get at you or condemn you or anything like that. But once we begin to understand the love of the Lord and how we can love the Lord and even, I don't even want to go deep like this, but the fact that to hate actually means to love less in the Bible. The biblical definition of hate is to love less. And if we love the Lord less than we do social media, then we hate. Y'all go get into that. So my desire was to seek, like I've said it here before, that I desire for my life to be framed after biblical truths. I am not there yet. I have not arrived. But I desire that, to seek ye first the kingdom of God. But, like I said, there's got a ways to go and I've come a long way. I think, did J. Cole say that? Yeah. It's bars. Just say bars. Okay, so the other thing, and these are in no particular order. I'm just, I just wrote them down as I got them. I learned in 2025 that spiritual warfare is part of the game, yet spiritual warfare is no game. I'm going to say that again. Spiritual warfare is part of the game, yet spiritual warfare is no game. It's not to be played with, beloved. Like, it's crazy because I found that when I was talking about, when we were doing the Blueprint of Becoming series, midway through, I looked mad crazy, by the way. I really wish that video did poorly to be easier to take it down. But I realized that midway through, I had to pause and do an episode on spiritual warfare because it was that heavy, right? And at that time, I wasn't even thinking about the elevation. I wasn't thinking about anything. And I've had several instances of more spiritual warfare after. And let me be clear. Like, I was like, oh, I'll just be preaching a little bit more. Like, I'm gonna be doing this, like, that type of thing. Because I've preached before. I've communicated the gospel of Jesus Christ before, right? So it ain't gonna be nothing. And it's not gonna be, nothing crazy or anything like that. We've been down this road before. But the spiritual warfare that preceded the announcement, because I've known since April, and I want to say the announcement went out in September. The warfare that preceded it was just like, yo, these days is long. The days are long. Like, can we get to the point already, right? I think that sometimes we're so unaware that warfare exists that the heaviness begins to overtake us. And I'm grateful to have great community in understanding that this is what's occurring. This is why these feelings or these tensions or these wrestles are occurring in your life right now. There's a fight for you to give up, a fight for you to quit, a fight for you to fold. So I began to grow in my understanding that warfare is a part of the game, but warfare is no game. And the enemy does not attack anything not worth it, right? Because if you on the squad, why I'm coming up against you? Because when bro shoot the shot, the teammates go to get the ball just in case he doesn't make it. But if teammate A gets it, then teammate B ain't got to snatch it from him because we on the same squad. And what I've realized is that the more of a commitment I make toward the Lord, the more the enemy comes after me. So think about that for a second as it pertains to you. The more of a commitment that you've made toward the Lord in 2025, be in expectation of how the enemy wants to attack you in 2026. Cool? So we've talked Ephesians and putting on the entire armor of the Lord. But also realize that you do not wrestle against flesh and blood, right? You wrestle against principalities. And although they might show up as Trish, your cousin, right? Or Roger, your uncle, right? It looks like flesh and blood. It's not. So bear that in mind as we go into a new season and you go into this new season and you grow and you expand and you're doing well and things are high. A low may occur, but rest assured that the Lord is with you. Okay? And I think that going into an elevation, I had to be sober minded, and it talks about it in Peter, but fully realized person who understands and wants to be guided by the Holy Spirit, like desires that, right? Like not desires to do any of this on her own. And I think I have this scripture in mind. That's why I keep thinking about it. I'm trying to think about where it's at. It's somewhere in Philippians. But what I also realized is that it's the Message version. I realized that no matter how, I realized that no matter how good of a sprinter you are, no matter the marathons that you've ran, you can't run from where God is taking you. Because most times, baby, you're going to run right into it. You can't run from where God is taking you because most times you're going to run directly into it. And, it's almost as if we thought, much like Jonah, that running would cancel the calling. Like, I got even if I ran and you didn't kill me, right? I think that we thought that we would be. You know how people love you until you do something wild? I think that's what we thought. Like, all right, once I run, he gonna be like, yo, this goofy. I don't want him on my squad. Like, get him out of here. You know what I mean? Like, but it doesn't. It just delays what God is going to do anyway, beloved. Like, just might as well. Like, we still gonna do this at 37. Some I should have did at 23. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, because God's plan is God's plan. Period. You put a period on that, mail that joint out. It's easy. God's plan is God's plan. Right? God's plans aren't fragile. They're still his plans. And if you're the person we are assigning it, he's assigning it to, it's going to be done. Whether 23 or 33, it's gonna get done. Yep. It hesitates, right? It's this hesitation you have, but that doesn't mean it ain't gonna get done. Because even detours and hesitations, they're not full avoidances. They're avoidances in the temporary stance, but not the permanent stance. It's gonna get done. Yep. So I think that the beauty of God is that he was patient with me. Like, I know that for certain. That I think that one of the things I ran into somebody who listened to the message, looked at the service on social media. And one of the things they kept saying was, I do not deserve to be here. I do not deserve to be here. Because that was one of the things I kept saying. Because I really feel that. I really feel that God was gracious to me. That he was kind to me. That he still invited me in after all those years of chasing me down, and he's persistent, and I'm grateful for that. I'm exceptionally. I can't say it enough. I wish I have other words but words tend to escape me. But I'm glad that I could never escape his presence. I'm glad about that. All the plans that I have for my life, they didn't look like this, baby. They didn't look like this. And so one of the second to last one is my lessons from 2025 is to take care of yourself. I think that I need to finish it. I'm on this chapter about taking care of yourself. I think that I think I've said it on here, that as a woman, I think that's it's just not the most taught thing, particularly as a Black woman, that we've grown to be so strong, right? So taking care of ourselves has never been at the forefront of our minds. We've taken care of so many, and I've even, I can even attest to that. And looking back, I'm just like, I did all of that. And I still ain't think about me. Tired, worn down, but still didn't think about myself. I think a lot of the hats we carry, the responsibilities and obligations that we have, I think that this is another component where community comes into play, because when you think about community, we have a responsibility to one another, and an accountability to one another where it's like, did you eat today? What you gonna say, mind your business? Like somebody looking out for you. You know, what are you gonna say? Did you look out for you today? Did you do anything you wanted to do this week? And so I began to kind of understand how important that is. Or what did you eat today? Because I think that me and my friends is so what did you eat today? Because we're foodies. But ministry, creativity, for me, ministry, creativity, motherhood, wifehood, purpose, calling, assignment, all of that, right? But all of that requires a healthy me. The very best version of me. And don't get me wrong, some of it could get done with like a slightly okay version of myself. But for the most part, so for something for me in terms of my own self-care is that I like going to cafes. Like being I know it's cold outside. I know it's like, you serious right now, blah, blah, blah. Hence the coffee, mid-coffee, but hence the coffee. Because before there was matcha, there was coffee, baby. So, but if I try to get to a cafe at least once a week. Now with my schedule and some of the things I'm doing in-house, it's challenging, but I try to get there at least once a week. It feeds my soul, right? It feeds my soul in a way that there's creativity, there's vibes, there's possibly, hopefully great coffee, probably something to snack on, but I probably bought my own, but it just does something for me, right? And I'm older now, like there's things I ain't about to do everything. I ain't about to go everywhere. So those are atmospheres that I like to be in. But that helps me, right? What helps you? What helps you to wind down? Because like we make it seem like get your toes done and get your nails done is the only self-care that exists in human. Like, no, that's not the only self-care. I remember someone said taking pictures is self-care. It was a photographer, young lady. It was an incredible sentiment. And at the time, I didn't really fully understand where she was coming from with it. But I just did a photo shoot last month and I was like, this was easy. This was fun. Like, this was fun. And it was what? Self-care. It was self-care. So I just want to keep pouring into my cup as well. I know how that sounds, and don't get so deep on me that, you at the bottom of the river. I want to pour into myself as well, because I also want to teach my almost completely selfless daughter how to pour into herself as she's honing into her gifting of pouring into others. I don't want that to be her burden. And I don't want this plight of the Black woman and who she ought to be for everybody else that she can't be for herself. And I know that's my responsibility to teach her that. So how do I teach her that? First, I learn it. Yeah. So, Matthew 11:28 talks about Jesus resting. And like studying Luke right now is one of those things that makes you really hone in on who Jesus was, because Luke, if the detail wasn't important, Luke ain't putting it in there. Like, one might even assume that Luke was overcompensating, because Luke can be very meticulous because he was a physician. He was a doctor. Think about how detailed he could have gotten. But he didn't. He only had the details that were most important. And talking about Jesus resting, paying attention to those components about Jesus' character is helping me to grow as a disciple, helping me to really grow as a Christ image bearer. And it has not been a strong suit of mine. Rest has not been a strong suit of mine. There's been days when I've been depleted. But another win of 2025 is that when we went around the table to say what we're thankful for, I said that I was thankful, and everyone assumed that I was exhausted. And not that I looked it or anything, and maybe I did, but I said that I was thankful for being tired and not exhausted. Because over the years, I've cooked Thanksgiving meals a lot. And in doing so, I realized that there are systems. Like, success leaves clues, and so does failure. We could pay attention to whichever one we lean into, one or the other, right? Keep doing the same stuff over and over and over and failing and wonder. It's happening because it's leaving clues that you're paying close attention to. whether that's in your actions or whether that's intentionally writing it down and going on someone and pursuing it. But I've realized that those systems, those formulas, those infrastructures that were in place and it was crazy. One of the things that I did, I slowed down in order to speed up. I slowed down, paid attention. One of the things I make this chart of what I want the menu to be, right? My mind is in color. I have a colorful mind. And I write it down in different colors. And this is going to be the main. These are going to be the sides. It's going to be the dessert. And at the bottom, there's a list. The Monday all the way to Thursday, what it is that I'm going to do. Whether Monday, food shopping, because I don't like being in that grocery store doing crazy work. Wednesday, or, I'm not doing none of that. And then, so Tuesday, I could pay attention to what I bought. And I could begin chopping greens and doing these details that lead me up. I wanted fish this year. I went to the fish market on Tuesday, like just paying attention to some of those things. What's got to be cooked for the longest? What can be cooked together? And so all of these things helped me, and it helped me to slow down in order to speed up. Because that in and of itself, doing it on Wednesday would have been hard. Cooking all day on Thursday would have been hard. I found systems that worked exceptionally well for me. And so that was a win of 2025. So our last lesson of 2025 was be present. Be present, or the moment may just pass you by. I learned that in several scenarios. Like, okay, I did this before this year, but one of the things I do is by 8 p.m., my phone is on Do Not Disturb. And it was like, yo, you're taking it too far. 8 p.m. is mad early. My kids go to sleep at 8 p.m. That's me and my man time. Like 8 p.m. is done. What we got to talk about? Text me. Because I don't get notifications. Like if I see it and I respond, it's because I was on my phone. So it's been a beauty for me. I don't regret it. Whatever was supposed to happen will happen at 4 or 5 the next morning when I'm up. Like it's a slowing down moment of intentionality, and I love it. But it allows me to be present in times where it has been hard for me to be present for whatever reason. But I know these kids ain't gonna be kids forever. Like my son ain't gonna mommy me forever. So I need to be here and now because this moment matters. This moment matters, right? You're watching this video. I do not take for granted that you took the time out of your holiday chaos to sit and watch this video with me. To sit and listen to me run my mouth. I appreciate it. And so, the most expensive thing you got is your time. So I want to spend it wisely. I'm not a hanging on my phone type of person. And if it is, it's probably like 3-4 people I talk to. And I try not to talk to them in the midst of the family because family time matters. But being present, I don't want to be robbed of moments. Like my daughter had her first, it wasn't a real recital. It was more so like a glorified rehearsal. And because the parents don't get to see the things that they're working on in their classes, it's like, all right, we're going to have a fundraiser and we're going to allow them to do some of the things that they're doing in their classes just in front of a busload of parents. And it was less than 30 seconds. Her dance was less than 30 seconds. But it was beautiful. Like that I didn't miss it being on social media. Like I think that one of the reasons why millennials kind of are the way they are, and some of us don't even realize how we have it. Like we got it because we were the generation that was in the house, right, with the social media. But before that, we was outside with the scooters on Christmas. Remember the scooters? Like just scooting around. Like we were in the house with the Game Boys and the Nintendo. but we was outside. Like, we were outside. We have the best of both worlds. So, like, I could hop off social media. Don't make me no difference. But I really desire to be present in the moments. I'll take the pictures and things like that. But I gotta bust through the pictures I ain't even post. Like, I need to do a dump and just give y'all all the pictures. But I think that rushing robs us. And the more we slow down in order to speed up, it'll be less rushing. And rushing causes me anxiety. So I try to be a little bit, I'd be prepared probably for my own selfish reasons. Like, I don't like the anxiety of it, And it's crazy. I think I talked a lot about stewardship this year. And I think being present is stewarding the time, the people, the opportunities, and the experiences. Like, and I desire to be a great steward so that the things that the Lord has placed in my hand, that I don't fumble them. Like, I ain't trying to fumble not near thing that the Lord gave me. Like, I'm trying to, optimize on my time, optimize on my people, optimize on my experiences and opportunities. So I think that God moves in moments that we, that whisper that they talk about in Kings. He's in those moments, and sometimes we miss him because we look for so much grand, so much fireworks. I'll tell you a beautiful moment that I was incredibly happy I was present. So I never told my husband. So I always told, like, after something huge, particularly in ministry, it's important that we rest. Rest might look different for different people. I'm not talking about like lounging in bed or a day, the very next day or anything like that. But it's important that we rest because sometimes I don't think that we realize what we do to our bodies, even when it's spiritual. So be intentional about the rest that you do thereafter. And that rest might be travel, that rest might be restaurants, that rest might be a cafe, whatever that rest is, rest, right? So we've been intentional about resting thereafter any grand spiritual ministry moment, any ministry that has taken a lot from us, out of us. And so the next day after my elevation service, this is something I've wanted to do with other people for some time. I've made plans to do it for years. And it's Bryant Park in New York. And I have to take this moment to thank my husband. I never told him about Bryant Park, that I liked it, that I wanted to go. He knows I'm a Christmas fanatic or whatever. So that wasn't hard. I'm not going to say that. But Bryant Park specifically, I've been looking at, researching, like, oh, they got that hot chocolate, I want to see it. Oh, they got that, I want to get it. Oh, they got that, I want to eat it. So the next day, I didn't even know he was off. I'm just like, I'm gonna do nothing. Like, I'm gonna do nothing, and I'll probably do something on Tuesday. But I'm doing nothing. I'm not going to the gym. I'm doing nothing. And he started whispering, like, days to come, like, don't make no plans for Monday. I'm like, oh, okay. No plans for Monday. Then he like, is there, so the place I want to take you, it doesn't open until 11. So you have a matcha place you want to go. I said, no, not a matcha place. So we slid through this matcha place where they allow you to see them making the matcha. So I'm sorry. If you love matcha, great. You're happy for me. If you don't and you think it's grass, you like, thumbs up, Jasmine. Good for you. But it was really cool. It was cool for me. So we went there, and then he starts driving, and it's Bryant Park. I'm like, yo, you don't understand. Like, mind you, he was telling me all day. He like, you gonna wear that? And I'm like, what I got on? Like, you need some long johns. You need something underneath. I'm like, I thought we were walking in the restaurant or walking out, or where we gonna be? So I listened. Thank God I did, because it was cold. It was brick outside. Long story short, he just ended up doing something that was really in my heart, but it gave me the opportunity to rest, but it gave me the opportunity to be present. Like, I was glad that I was able to be present in that moment. I've seen where my lack of presence has created tension in my different relationships that I have where it wasn't there. I remember being around a table with a group of my friends, and it was just like, yo, you like, y'all all on your phones. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not often, but I'm glad it's one of those things that's able to be called out so we can come up. That in order to be present, you have to be told that you're not being present. You have to be accountable for the moments that you're not doing what you said you would do. So, and I also think that presence is a discipline. That not everybody is present, and for a couple of reasons, right? I've also found that sometimes you can't be present in moments that you really don't want to be in. You ever get in, let's keep it real. You ever get in church and you just be on your phone the whole time? Don't act like it's only been me. Like, that's not me right now, but it's been me for season or 3, right? But it's because you ain't want to be there. And you don't have the wherewithal to discipline yourself for that moment because that moment is not important to you. I want to be where I am, that I trust God enough to know that if I'm there, that he led me there. And if I'm there, he would be with me there. And that if he's with me, then we good. We're good. Right? So I'm leaning more into being still, leaning more into the stillness of each moment so that I'm mindful of where I am when I'm there and what the Lord wanted to tell me then. So I'm just trying to make the most out of the moments that I have with the people that I have them with. Because some of us ain't got people. And I don't take that for granted. Some of us don't have people. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So there's a scripture that I wanted to leave you guys with in 2025. 2025 is, like I said, it's been incredibly good to me. So this is how I plan on going into 2026. This is Philippians 3 verses 12 through 14. I'm not saying that I have this all together, that I've made it, but I'm well on my way. Reaching out for Christ who has so wondrously reached out for me. Listen, friends, don't get me wrong. By no means do I count myself an expert in all of this. But I've got my eye on the goal where God is beckoning us onward to Jesus. And I'm off and running. And baby, I'm not turning back. Listen, you've just listened to another episode of Eat, Don't Compete. So whatever you do, stop, share this with a friend, subscribe, leave a comment, and come back for more. I will see you in 2026. Peace.